Okay, fractional powers. So quite simply, just like these examples here, we've got, okay, where you notice the power is a fraction. So how do we deal with it? Well, when we normally think of powers, okay, so for instance, this here, 4 to the power 2, well, we're squaring now. What we mean then, we have to do here is simply multiply 4 by itself, okay? It's a square number, you get 16. Okay, so that's what we normally think of with powers, don't we? And if we had cubed, power 3, 4 to the power 3, you'd have to times 4 by itself and by itself again. Okay, now when you have fractional powers, you kind of do the opposite of that. Okay, so when we've got power half, you kind of do the opposite of when we've got power 2. So remember, when we've got power 2, you times by itself. When we've got power half, we do the opposite. In other words, we square root. Okay? We square root. So we can write 16 to the power half as the square root of 16. And what you've got to do is, you've got to kind of think backwards. You've got to think, okay, well, square root of 16, what is it? In other words, what am I timesing by itself to get 16? Okay? And of course, we know that's going to be 4. Yeah? So, 16 to the power half is 4. It's kind of the reverse process of this, yeah? Because 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, so the reverse process then is the fraction power, the power half. So square root it, and you get 4. Okay, let's look at the next one. 36 to the power half. Again, you've got to write then next to it what it means. Power half means square root. So we can square root 36. And we just need to think now, what do we times by itself to get 36? And of course, it's going to be 6, yeah? Because 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, so 36 to the power half is 6. Next one. Now, when you look at this one, the power is a third. Okay, now that's kind of the reverse process of cubing. Okay, so the reverse process of cubing is cube root. Okay, so you just look and appreciate that because it's a third, the bottom number is 3, you do the cube root. Now, in terms of writing it, what we do is we write the root symbol, but we put a little 3 in front of it. So we've got to think of what the cube root of 8 is. Okay, in other words, what am I timesing by itself and by itself again to get 8? Now, it's going to be a low number. You know, you can just have a guess here. What do you start with? 1. 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1. So that's no good. What about 2? 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So yeah, the cube root of 8 is 2. Okay, or in other words, 8 to the power third is 2. 27 then to the power third. Again, cube root. So we need to think, what am I timesing by itself? And by itself again to get 27. Okay, so you could try 4 if you wanted to. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So that's no good, it's too high. So it's going to be between, isn't it, 2 and 4. So let's try 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. In other words, you times 3 by itself and by itself again, you get 27. So we can write 27 to the power third as 3. Finally then, 81. Now this time we got power quarter. Okay, the power quarter just means the fourth root. Okay, that's the square root, that's the cube root, and now we've got the fourth root of 81. And all you've got to do here is just think about a number that times by itself, and by itself again. So 4 of them, and you get 81. Okay, so it's got to be fairly low again, and actually the answer is going to be 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. Okay, so if you're not sure, you can always just try a few calculations to try and work out what that would be. So quite simply, in general, right, it's good to make a sort of in general statement. Okay, if we have a number, okay, any number, so we'll just call it A, right, to represent any number, and the power is 1 over n, okay, right, so like we got here, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4. then that would be equal to the nth root, okay, of a. Don't worry too much about this, right? This is just a generalization. Ultimately, you want to use these examples and follow them, okay? So make sure you copy these down, and then when it comes to the exercise, okay, set them out exactly like this.